Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. And yes, I did say recap and results, because this show tonight does not deserve a review from me, because this show tonight is absolutely fucking awful. The show is still going on. It's 10:53, and look, Monday Night Raw is still on, and it's the A Moment of Piss segment. And Randy Orton is Alexa's guest on a Moment of Piss. And of course, you see there Randy Orton, the new WWE champion, where he won it last night, defeated Drew McIntyre. And I didn't get to watch Hell in a Cell last night, so I just read the results. Apparently, Sasha is the new SmackDown Women's Champion, defeated Bayley. Yeah, let's see how long WWE gives Sasha this long title run, because we all know WWE in the past, with Sasha, whenever she held, the title, they were always short reign. So let's see how long they keep that SmackDown Women's Championship on Sasha. But Monday Night Raw tonight, like I said, this show was absolutely awful. Monday Night Raw continues to be one of the worst pro wrestling shows on TV and on cable television. It's like every week I come on here and I say, this show is awful. This show is terrible. It's like a broken fucking record. But, what else can I say about Monday Night Raw? Every week it's so goddamn fucking awful. And this show tonight was also fucking boring too. We had Survivor Series qualifying matches, and we saw AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy in a Survivor Series qualifying match. We saw Keith Lee versus Elias, Survivor Series qualifying match. We saw the Hurt Business versus Retribution once again, but a 8-man tag elimination match. So I'm like, is the Hurt Business baby faces? And then after they're done defeating Retribution, they go back to being heels? What the fuck? And then we had Drew McIntyre versus The Miz, Sheamus versus Matt Riddle, Survivor Series qualifying match, which was the main event. So, and it looks like it's gonna be like Randy Orton versus the Fiend for the WWE Championship, which WWE is possibly setting up. And from the looks of it over here already, Drew McIntyre is kicking the hell out of Randy Orton once again. It's the same old shit. And Alexa Bliss is there laughing. But let's jump right into this recap and results video. So Monday Night Raw opened up. Oh, and before I get to this, look right there. The Fiend is right behind Randy Orton there. So apparently it's going to set it up right there. We're going to have the Fiend versus Randy Orton. The Fiend's probably going to challenge Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. So there you go. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Drew McIntyre. McIntyre ended up saying that he's been trying to find the words for his loss to Randy Orton last night, but he doesn't want to make excuses. And he promises he will be the WWE Champion again. And then we had The Miz and John Morrison come out. The Miz is the new Money in the Bank briefcase holder because he defeated Otis last night. And I'm like, WWE went back to the Miz to put in the Money in the Bank briefcase on the Miz, which 10 years ago they already did that with the Miz. So there you go. But the Miz is now the new Money in the Bank briefcase holder. So apparently with that, it makes Otis, the Money in the Bank winner, which, he won at Money in the Bank, completely fucking useless. So the Miz ended up mocking McIntyre, and he ended up telling the fans to give him an encore. McIntyre warns both the Miz and Morrison to watch their words very carefully. So then Miz ends up saying that now McIntyre doesn't have to worry about facing Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And the Miz ends up saying that, he has the briefcase, and that makes him Mr. Money in the Bank. So Miz went on about how he now has a WWE Championship shot. He reminds us he previously cashed in on the title on Randy Orton back in 2010. And he ended up asking Morrison where that title win happened. And that was right in Orlando at the Amway Center where they are at now. So Miz ended up recalling how he beat Orton for the title that night. And of course, we saw the angry Miz girl, which we all remember. So Miz ended up teasing a cash-in. And he ended up mentioning that Orton will be a guest on A Moment of Piss. So Miz ended up saying, let's think if McIntyre did retain at Hell in a Cell. He would be standing here in the ring with, of course, him and John Morrison. So The Miz ended up saying that he would cash in and become the new WWE Champion. So McIntyre ended up dropping Miz with the Glasgow kiss headbutt. Morrison ended up joking around, and he was doing a accent to McIntyre. And Morrison also gets dropped by McIntyre. And McIntyre ended up launching Morrison around the ring. There was that point where McIntyre was like, let's go for a ride. And then he just launches Morrison across the ring. So McIntyre ends up bringing Morrison back into the ring. Miz ended up coming from behind and took out McIntyre's knee. And then Miz and Morrison retreated up the ramp. McIntyre ended up stomping on the Miz's sunglasses. And he ended up saying that he has an idea to run by WWE management. And that's going to be a bad night for the Miz and John Morrison. Which McIntyre called them idiots. And that was basically how the segment ended. But the whole thing was just meh, in my opinion. So. And then we had the first match of the night, which was a Survivor Series qualifying match for Team Raw. And it was AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. So Styles ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up bragging about being 2-0 on Monday Night Raw so far, and how the fans have missed him. And he ended up saying that the question on everyone's mind, including his, is why does he have to qualify? So Styles ended up saying not only should he be on Raw, he should be the team captain of the Raw Survivor Series team. So Styles ended up bringing up his, of course, associate, who was Jordan Amagbian. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. The 7'2" guy, which we saw, Styles introduce him last week as his associate. Of course, he was Shane's, bodyguard for the Raw Underground, the bouncer. And from what I saw, he was also one of Tozawa's ninjas in Tozawa's Foot Clan. So, he's a tall guy. So, but Styles ended up saying that should be a notice to everyone else. So he ends up bringing up Jeff Hardy and ends up taking shots at him. Styles ends up saying that his associate Jordan will make Jeff Hardy want to put the bottle down. And so Jeff Hardy ended up coming out, and the match got underway, which the match itself, it was a decent match. It was back and forth between Styles and Hardy. At the end of the match, you had Styles winning, deliver the phenomenal forearm to Jeff Hardy. And that was that. Styles ended up winning. Styles is now part of the Team Raw Survivor Series team. And then, post-match, you had Jeff Hardy slowly getting to his feet, and Elias ends up coming from behind and delivers a guitar shot to Jeff Hardy's back out of nowhere. So poor Elias ends up shattering the guitar over Jeff Hardy's back, and that was that. But overall, decent match between Styles and Hardy. And then we had Tozawa and Drew Gulak versus Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik. I did not even give a shit about this match. Dorado and Gran Metalik ended up winning. R-Truth was out there. And post-match, you had Truth kicking out of pin attempts because these guys are trying to pin R-Truth to win the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. I'm like, who gives a shit? I'm sick and tired of this Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title on fucking TV. It's not fucking funny anymore. Take it off TV. Retire this goddamn title. Like, seriously, it's not funny anymore. So that was that. It's like a circus. They all ran to the back. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. It's the circus. They're all running to the back. Chase R-Truth. And so then we had the Firefly Funhouse, which was, enjoyable. Yeah, Bray Wyatt there. Alexa Bliss ended up bringing tea. So Alexa Bliss ended up making the tea extra for Ramblin' Rabbit. And then Ramblin' Rabbit ends up, drinking it and starts, dying. Yeah, Bray Wyatt ended up hitting Ramblin' Rabbit with his hammer. And what was really cool was Alexa Bliss, of course, she went into a trance. And she ends up saying, "Let him in." And the way how her eyes looked was pretty cool. Had the, red, light on her face. So, but it was pretty cool. So. And then we had Elias versus Keith Lee. Survivor Series qualifying match for Team Raw. Match was just boring, in my opinion. Elias, of course, we all knew Elias was losing this match, and Keith Lee was going to win it, and he actually did. And Jeff Hardy's music ended up hitting, and Elias was on the top rope, and Elias was distracted, and Keith Lee took advantage of the match. And he launched Elias from the top and then delivered the spear bomb to Elias. And there you go. Keith Lee ended up winning. He is now on the Team Raw Survivor Series, for the men. So he's the second guy on the Survivor Series team for Team Raw. So, but overall, just a very meh match. Oh, and then we had the Hurt Business versus Retribution, an 8-man tag team elimination match. And we got this again. Why? and Retribution lost again. So I'm like, the Hurt Business, whenever they're feuding with Retribution, they're baby faces now? You mean to tell me the Hurt Business, they're heels, but when they're fighting Retribution, they're baby faces? What the fuck? This is bad creative right here. So, basically they're fighting heel versus heel. Hurt Business is heel, Retribution is heel. So what is it, heel versus heel? And then, oh yeah, we'll just make the Hurt Business baby faces for now until they stop feuding with Retribution. And then when they're done, we'll have them go back to being heels. Makes no fucking sense. Oh, and I can't forget, Reckoning, aka Mia Yim, going crazy, flopping around the ring like, she was like, yeah, that was Reckoning. That was Mia Yim tonight. It came off absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious it was. So, but yeah, then you had the Hurt Business end up winning by disqualification because Mustafa Ali ended up grabbing a chair. And it was just Mustafa Ali for Retribution. All of Retribution got eliminated except for Mustafa Ali. What does that tell you about Retribution? That this whole Retribution stable is a fucking failure. And after what we saw last week with T-Bar tapping out to the Hurt Lock that was delivered from Bobby Lashley, I ain't taking Retribution serious anymore after last week. They lost last week, and now they lost tonight. And I know that they lost last night at Hell in a Cell. And then post-match you had MVP and Bobby Lashley coming back down the ramp. Mustafa Ali retreated over the barricade. And that was that. And then we saw Angel Garza with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Angel Garza had a rose, and he was going to give it to Mandy Rose. And he ended up asking Mandy about her status with Otis. Mandy ended up telling Garza that Otis has had a rough 24 hours. And that they are still close. So then Garza flirts with Dana Brooke now. So then Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax end up walking up. Nia Jax ends up taking Garza's rose. And she smelled the rose and smiled at Garza. So Garza ended up walking off. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler want to discuss, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke being on the Women's Survivor Series, team for Team Raw. So Dana Brooke ended up cutting the both of them off, and she reminds Jax and Baszler that her and Mandy Rose are undefeated since they came to Monday Night Raw. She ended up saying that they are confident about their position, and that Baszler and Jax are needing them more. And so that was that. So then we had McIntyre versus The Miz. And, the match itself, it was, in my opinion, not that good of a match. McIntyre ended up winning, Claymore kick to The Miz. And that was that. Oh yeah, and then we saw Matthew McConaughey. He was in the Thunderdome crowd, which that was cool. It was cool to see Matthew McConaughey there, and he was watching the match with his two sons in the Thunderdome crowd. So it was pretty cool to see Matthew McConaughey make an appearance. And then we had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Backstage, they were looking like the Street Profits because they had a red Solo cup. So it was made official that the New Day are going to be taking on the Street Profits at Survivor Series. So Asuka ends up interrupting, and she declares that they want the smoke. So, and then it was confirmed that Asuka's going to be taking on Sasha at Survivor Series. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns is going to be at Survivor Series. So, and then we had the Hurt Business interrupt. MVP then ended up announcing that Bobby Lashley is going to be taking on Sami Zayn at Survivor Series. So MVP ends up saying that they also have their eyes on the Raw Tag Team titles. So Asuka ends up saying that they will try, but they will fail, because New Day rocks. And so that was that. Oh, and then we had Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce, get the hell off my TV. Why is this guy keep still getting TV time? What does he bring to the show? Absolutely nothing. So Adam Pearce and Pat Buck, they both were in the ring, both WWE producers. They end up plugging Survivor Series, and they go on to announce the participants for the women's 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match for Team Raw. And the participants are Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. And that the fifth participant will be declared the winner in a fatal four-way, which took place. So I'm like, you have Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke. So Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler argue over who will introduce the final participant. And then Adam Pearce ended up announcing that the final spot will go to the winner of the Fatal 4-Way. And you want to know the women who were in this Fatal 4-Way? Alright, so the women were Lana, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross. So pretty much the whole Raw Women's Division was a part of this whole thing. So I'm like, man, you look at this and you realize that the whole Raw Women's Division fucking sucks. So we had the Fatal 4-Way, Lana versus Lacey Evans versus Peyton Royce versus Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross got new music, which was sound like country music, which I don't know why they had to change Nikki Cross's music. I mean, what was wrong with the old music that she had? You know, I like it. I liked it. This whole new music that they gave Nikki Cross, it doesn't even fit her one bit. So this Fatal 4-Way match, absolutely terrible. And you had Lana. Lana won this Fatal 4-Way. So now she is the last, member for this 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series elimination match for Team Raw. What a joke! What a fucking joke! Lana? Oh my god. If I were to pick who would win this Fatal 4-Way, who would have really won this Fatal 4-Way, if Lana didn't win this, my predictions were Peyton Royce and Nikki Cross. Peyton Royce and Nikki Cross are the two that I wish would have won the Fatal 4-Way. If I would have had to choose, I would have to choose Peyton Royce. I think Peyton Royce, she's decent in the ring, and she's very underrated. So, but I would have chose Peyton Royce over Lana, or Nikki Cross over Lana. Lacey Evans, meh, but I would have chose Peyton Royce and Nikki Cross over fucking Lana. What a joke! What a joke! Lana being the last woman in the Team Raw 5-on-5 Survivor Series thing. Oh, and then you get, after the end of the match, Nia Jax puts Lana through a table for a 6th time. That's a new record for Lana, going through the announce table. Next week it will be 7. The following week it will be 8. The following week it will be 9. And then in a month, we'll reach 10 times that Lana's gone through the announce table. Oh, man. If I was Lana, I would be asking for my release. But she can't do that because she has 5 years on her contract. She has a 5-year WWE contract. And then we had Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. Survivor Series qualifying match. This was actually a good match between the both of them. So, before the match got underway, Mustafa Ali was kind of promo with Retribution. He went on about how they are not a family or a team, and that they are a mission, and that the good men and women next to him are willing to sacrifice everything for that mission. He ended up saying that they win when everyone else suffers, and they will win because they decide when their opponents get shut down. So that was that. Mustafa Ali delivered a decent promo here. And then we went to Matt Riddle versus Sheamus, which was a good match. It was back and forth between Riddle and Sheamus. And we had Sheamus end up brawling with Matt Riddle. Riddle ended up taking Sheamus down. Sheamus ended up coming back in and he took Riddle down. And Sheamus ended up trying to fight Matt Riddle off. Matt Riddle then delivered a suplex to Sheamus. And at the end of the match, you had Sheamus end up delivering a bro kick to Matt Riddle. So that was that. Sheamus wins, and he is now the 3rd member in the men's Survivor Series elimination team for Team Raw. So, but overall, it was a good match between Matt Riddle and Sheamus. Just the wrestling here from the both of them was decent, and it was an enjoyable match. And then, of course, we went to the Moment of Piss segment with Randy Orton. So that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Overall, terrible show. God-awful. The show continues to be one of the worst shows on cable television and one of the worst pro wrestling shows on TV. So, but overall, that's it for the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And there will be no Dynamite review on Wednesday. It will be up on Thursday. So until then, I'll see you all later.